I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's poppin', my homies? Hope you're doing well, feeling blessed, having a good day, having a good week. This one's going to be a rematch main event between Marcin Tybura and Serghei Spivak. A very decent main event, but the rest of the card is kind of dusty. Now guys, looking at my bets from last week, the Patreon betting lineup, the card was a profitable card, slightly profitable, and that's because our two biggest bets were winners. The rest, losers, but yeah, the two biggest bets, they're winners. Pure money. That's money. And guys, I might start posting just Hail Marys. I might start posting that because, guys, I hit a mad Hail Mary. I didn't post this on Patreon because, you know, I'm not trying to hand out plus 2,000s. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, guys, here you go, plus 2,000. Hit this. We're gonna hit. But it did. It did hit somehow. But so yeah, the betting lineup on Patreon was profitable. And I also had a madness, where the madness, it hit. So let's go. But I'm going to start posting these in my Discord more and more because, yeah, they're hitting more than what I think they should. Now, guys, as always, if you see your name on the screen, you already know. You already know. That's money. Spark up for the MoneyCity Champs. Let's go. Now moving to the first matchup of the card, we've got Stephanie Luciano taking on Talita Alencar. And guys, this is going to be a rematch, right? We've seen this fight. And guys, what we see in that first fight was the cardio of Talita Alencar. It was so dusty, super dusty. We understand her grappling, her ground game, her jiu-jitsu is extremely good. However, the cardio, super dusty. But then again, we see her fight Yana dos Santos, and her cardio looked way better in that fight than what it did against Stephanie Luciano. So guys, in my opinion, it kind of comes down to, can Stephanie Luciano show better defensive wrestling? Can she stay on the feet? If she stays on the feet against Alencar, she's going to box her up. She's going to piece her up on the feet. It kind of comes down to, you know, can Alencar show better cardio, which I believe she will do? Can she get Stephanie Luciano to the mat over and over, like she did on the Contender? Can she be more dominant on the mat? Which, you know, she probably will be if her cardio is better, and it should be. Guys, it's a close fight. It's very close. Based on the first fight, you kind of want to pick, you know, Stephanie Luciano. You kind of want to make that pick. But I just think if her defensive wrestling hasn't improved, if she's getting taken to the mat over and over, the plus money's going to look good. So give me Alencar as the pick. But guys, obviously if Alencar doesn't get to the mat, if she gets tired, if she's made to strike on the feet for long periods of time, if that happens, then Luciano, she's going to dust her up. Now moving into a matchup between Jarno Errens taking on Youssef Zalal. And guys, Jarno Errens, in his last fight, his stand-up, his Dutch kickboxing, it looked phenomenal. It looked so good. He looked possessed. And even said for that fight, because he was away for a few months before that fight, he even said, I went into monk mode. And guys, anytime someone says I'm going into monk mode, they're going to work. They're going to work. And it really looked like that. Jarno Errens in that fight, his stand-up, it was phenomenal. And guys, some people may forget that performance from Jarno Errens. Some people may say, well, look at the opponent, look at who he's fighting. He's not fighting anyone good. It doesn't matter. That performance, you know, it's more based on the opponent rather than Jarno Errens. But I disagree. Jarno Errens looked phenomenal in that fight. It doesn't matter who the opponent was. Jarno Errens was going to look that good despite who the opponent was. And if he can do that against Youssef Zalal, if he can stay on the feet, stay away from the grappling, stay away from the wrestling of Youssef Zalal, stay away from the mat, if you can just stand and use your Dutch kickboxing in the same way against Youssef Zalal, that's a massive win. And guys, in my opinion, I would have to side with the big underdog, Jarno Errens. I know Youssef Zalal, he looked good against Billy Quarantillo. He looked so good, right? The grappling. And in my opinion, that is the biggest threat for Jarno Errens. That's the biggest threat. And guys, just looking at Zalal against Billy Quarantillo, he mauled him. He mauled him on the mat. And if he goes in there and does the same thing against Jarno Errens, big respect, big credit. But in my opinion, give me the Dutch kickboxer. Give me the big underdog. I'm starting this dusty card with two underdog picks. Let's go. Now moving into a matchup between Karl Williams taking on Jhonata Diniz. I believe is the pronunciation. Might have dusted that. Might have butchered it. But guys, Diniz, This guy's a phenomenal heavyweight striker, in my opinion. His stand-up is very good. It's very dangerous. However, guys, the ground game of Diniz is 0. His grappling is 0. His wrestling, 0. And that's exactly what we see against Austin Lane in his UFC debut. You know, round 1, he's on the mat, he's getting mauled. There's no get-ups. There's no grappling in the game of Diniz. Now, guys, the problem here is Williams is a good grappler. He's a very good wrestler. And if he can get Diniz to the mat, which, you know, he should do, because there's no grappling, there's no defensive wrestling in the game of Diniz. And that's going to be the real problem for Jhonata Diniz. You don't know how to stay on the feet. If he knew how to stay on the feet, then he's gonna starch Williams. He's gonna dust him up. Because his stand-up is, you know, like I say, his stand-up is very dangerous, but there's no wrestling. So guys, in my opinion, give me the wrestler to exploit the weakness of Diniz. Give me Karl Williams. Now, guys, moving into a matchup between Pannie Kianzad taking on Karol Rosa. And, guys, in my opinion, Pannie Kianzad's always been very decent. Her wrestling's very good. Her jiu-jitsu, her boxing. She's always been very well-rounded. But what I feel is missing from the game of Pannie Kianzad, and that's always been missing, is violence. She's never been the most violent. You don't really feel violence in the game of Pannie Kianzad. You see her jab. You see her boxing. You see her wrestling, you see her grappling. But guys, in my opinion, there's no real violence in her game. There's no real intention in the technique. She's doing all the things right. You know, she's very decent. She's very well-rounded. But I don't feel the violence in her game. Now, guys, Rosa, on the flip side, you're seeing against Irene Aldana. She lost that fight. But guys, look at the low kick. Look at how violent her performance is. It's a losing performance. But guys, in my opinion, it's a violent performance. It's a good effort. You know, the techniques. It's all being thrown with, you know, real violence. And you don't really feel that in the game of Pannie Kianzad. I do feel that in the game of Rosa. So guys, in my opinion, give me the Brazilian. Give me Rosa. Now moving into a matchup between Charalampos Grigoriou taking on Toshiomi Kazama. And guys, in my opinion, just simplify these fights as much as possible. Just simplify them. You know, look at the matchups and say, if this fighter can do this, this and this, he's going to win. If the other fighter can do this and this, he's going to win. Simplify the fights as much as possible. Now, guys, I picked Brian Ortega to beat Yair Rodriguez. That was a pick I made. And someone on my Instagram said, Yair Rodriguez, he's going to win this fight. And I responded and said, if he keeps the match up on the feet, then yeah, he's going to win the fight. And he responded back and said, that's just simplifying the fight. And that's pretty much what it was. If Yair Rodriguez stayed on the feet, he was going to continue to dust up Brian Ortega. So guys, I think most mixed martial arts fans would agree that if Brian Ortega was going to win that fight, he would need to get Yair Rodriguez to the mat. And he did, right? So guys, just simplifying these fights. It kind of seems like that's what we should be doing. Just simplify them. And in my opinion here, if Charalampos can avoid the ground game, avoid the grappling of Toshiomi Kazama, and also keep his cardio in check, if he can do those two things, then he should win the fight. However, if Toshiomi Kazama can bring Grigoriou away from the boxing and more into the jiu-jitsu, then there's certainly a case that Kazama could win the fight with a big submission win. It all comes down to who can do what they've got to do. It always comes down to that. Who's going to go in there and fight to a good game plan? Who's going to do that? Is Charalampos going to avoid the grappling of Toshiomi? Is he going to stay on the feet and really utilise his boxing against someone that, you know, isn't that good on the feet? Toshiomi Kazama doesn't have the stand-up, doesn't have the boxing to go toe-to-toe with Charalampos Grigoriou. So if Grigoriou can keep his cardio in check, avoid the ground game, that's a good game plan. So guys, in my opinion, I'm going to side with who's more well-rounded, who's got more chance in my opinion, and that's going to be Charalampos Grigoriou. That's the pick. Now guys, moving into a matchup between Chelsea Chandler taking on who we got. We've got Yana Santos. And guys, as we know, Chelsea Chandler is the one that literally turned her back and ran away from the opponent. She literally turns her back and runs away. And what's so funny about that clip? What's so funny is if the fence ain't there, guys, if the fence ain't there, she's still running. That's what's funny. That's what's funny, man. The fence stopped her. She runs into the fence. Hey, this is a fight. Don't turn your back to the opponent. Defend yourself at all times. And if you can, try to dust up the opponent. What you're not supposed to do is turn your back and literally run away. But she did. It was so funny. Now, guys, despite all of that, I actually took her as an underdog in her next fight to beat Josiane Nunes. For one reason and one reason only. If she could get Josiane Nunes to the mat and avoid, you know, the stand-up, avoid being made to run, if she can get her to the mat, then she may win the fight. And she did. However, guys, this time round, we know that Yana Santos, unlike Josiane Nunes, her grappling's very good. Her wrestling is very, very decent. So, guys, if the matchup stays on the feet, is Chelsea Chandler going to run away again? And I'm not saying that Yana Santos, you know, can strike like a Norma Dumont. She can't. Her stand-up isn't that good, but I just want to know, can Chelsea Chandler win fights where she doesn't take the opponent to the mat? She doesn't push the opponent against the fence. She's not able to impose her grappling on the opponent. Can Chelsea Chandler win the fights where she's not able to grapple? Guys, in my opinion, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Because when you turn your back to the opponent and actually run away, that's a red flag. In the stand-up, that's a massive red flag. So guys, although I took Chelsea Chandler as an underdog against Josiane Nunes, although I took her to get those takedowns and to essentially out-grapple the opponent, this time round against Yana Santos, someone that loves to grapple, loves to wrestle, someone that's so experienced. If Chelsea Chandler isn't able to grapple her way to victory, then how does she win the fight? Does she stand and bang? Guys, she doesn't want to do that. You know, we see when Chelsea Chandler's made to strike on the feet, she turns her back and runs away from the fight. That's what we see with Chelsea Chandler on the feet. So if she's not able to out-grapple the opponent, how does she win the fight? Guys, in my opinion, the veteran, the Russian, the experience, the toughness. Give me Yana Santos, formerly known as Yana Kuniskaya. Now, guys, moving into a matchup between Chris Gutierrez taking on Quang Lee. And, guys, I've done no tape whatsoever on Quang Lee. However, last week was a similar situation with Gurem Kutulidze. I didn't do any tape on Jordan Vucenic, so I missed that fight. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to break down this fight, or break down 50% of this fight. Guys, Chris Gutierrez, one of the best kickers in the game. His kicks are phenomenal. Now, guys, the way to beat Chris Gutierrez, in my opinion, the way to beat him, grapple, wrestle. Or if your stand-up is, you know, really, really good, like you know, Song Yadong. If your stand-up is on that level, then you can stand with Chris Gutierrez. But guys, as I mentioned, I've done no tape on Quang Lee. No tape. So I don't really know what he's up against. But what I can tell you is, if Quang Lee doesn't have the wrestling or doesn't have the stand-up, then yeah, Chris Gutierrez, he's going to dust him. So guys, go to the comments, drop down the style of Quang Lee. Let me know what his style is. But yeah, I'll get to the tape and I'll let you know. But like I said, if he's not a wrestler, if he's not got the stand-up, then yeah, Chris Gutierrez, El Chopo, all day. Now, guys, moving into a matchup between Danny Barlow, left hand to God, taking on Nikolay Veretennikov. And guys, I just think the style, I just think the way Veretennikov fights, it's so slow pace. It's very different to Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow, such a sniper. He's so fast with the hands. Watching Danny Barlow, I see a prospect. I see excitement. Watching Veretennikov, it's kind of the opposite. You know, so slow pace, very planted on the feet. Guys, it's one of those fights where there's two very, very different styles being had. You know, some people may say, you don't need to be flashy. You don't need to be mad fast. You don't need to be doing anything crazy to win fights. That's Veretennikov. Veretennikov is so composed. He's fighting in a slow pace. Very composed, very patient. Almost boring, in a way. And that's not Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow's got a sniper left hand. And he's going to let you know. You know what I'm saying? He's going to find the mark. He's going to find that mark with the left hand. But guys, it is a good fight because if Veretennikov can go in there, be very patient, be very calm, and win the fight with a boring style, maybe grapple against Danny Barlow, you know, wrestle the opponent, then he's going to prove that you don't need to be a flashy fighter to win fights. He's going to prove that. But guys, in my opinion, Danny Barlow, left hand to God, the speed, the accuracy, the left hand's the real deal. It really is. And I think he's more of a prospect. There's more excitement. There's more to score, right? If you're a judge, there's more to score with Danny Barlow. When you look at Veretennikov, you're looking at patience. You're looking at a lot of waiting, a lot of watching. So guys, just thinking from a judge's perspective, and I know a lot of the time, you know, the judges, they do what they want. I know that. But guys, Danny Barlow's going to be active. He's going to be throwing the left hand. He's going to be moving around the octagon and just looking good. Veretennikov is too patient, too stationary. There's not enough going on. So give me Danny Barlow. Give me left hand to God. Now, guys, moving into the co-main event, we've got Chepe Mariscal taking on Damon Jackson. And guys, there's always someone in the comment section. There's one person, and they know who they are. they're the biggest fan of Chepe Mariscal. And every time I pick against Chepe Mariscal, he lets me know. He says, listen, you're picking against Chepe Mariscal. You're going to be wrong. And I am. I have been. But guys, obviously when you're speaking about fights week in, week out, there's going to be fights where you get some right, you get some wrong. That's just how the game goes. Now, when it comes to Chepe Mariscal, I've not picked Chepe Mariscal to win a fight. I've not done that yet. However, it doesn't change my opinions on Chepe Mariscal. Whether I pick him to win or pick him to lose, I still believe the guy's a dog. The guy's a dog. Whether I pick him to win or pick him to lose, that doesn't change the fact the guy's a dog. And guys, he's also a very, very decent jiu-jitsu player. His grappling is very good. And on the feet, like I say, the guy's a dog. The moment the ref says fight, Chepe Mariscal is literally ready for war. Now, Damon Jackson on the flip side, he's more of a veteran. His jiu-jitsu is very good. His wrestling, his cardio, his output, it's all good. But guys, what's not good in the game of Damon Jackson is his dusty chin. His chin is so dusty. It's made of glass, you know. And Chepe Mariscal, as I mentioned, he's going to fight from the first moment to the last moment. And at some point, I kind of feel like he's going to crack the jaw of Damon Jackson. And as I mentioned, that chin is dust. So give me the dog. Give me Chepe Mariscal. And he's a minus 200. But in my opinion, rightfully so. Guys, I'm someone that bet Morgan Charrier against Chepe Mariscal. And at the very end of that fight, Morgan Charrier is like minus 2,000. But guys, in my opinion, Chepe Mariscal, he did win that fight. He won round 1. He won the final round. That's 2-1. Then against Jack Jenkins, you know, that fight ends with a fluke injury for Jack Jenkins. But guys, in my opinion, Chepe Mariscal was starting to break Jack Jenkins. He was starting to, you know, take his will. He was starting to push him against the fence, bring him into a real dogfight. And that's kind of what Chepe Mariscal wants to do. You know, he wants to bring you into a real dogfight. And you may have the skill. You may have the speed. You may have things about your game that you think you can use against someone like Chepe Mariscal. But do you have the heart and will? Do you have that dog spirit? Because Chepe Mariscal's got that. The moment the ref says fight, he's going to fight to the very end of the fight. That's what Chepe's about. You know, the guy's, like I've been saying, the guy's a dog. So guys, in the co-main event, in my opinion, at some point, Chepe Mariscal is going to dust the jaw of Damon Jackson. So that's the pick. Give me Chepe. Now guys, moving into the main event, we've got Marcin Tybura taking on Serghei Spivak, and this is going to be a rematch main event. Now guys, for the most part, rematches, they're very interesting, for the most part. You know guys, sometimes they make rematches where you're kind of thinking, why is this even a rematch? For example, Alex Pereira against Prohaska. But guys, in this situation here, this main event here, the first fight took place at the very start of 2020. So my question would be this: who's evolved since that fight? And who's regressed in ability? What's the difference? You know, what's the difference since that first fight? Now guys, in my opinion, I think both fighters since that first fight have really shown some nice work. I mean, when Marcin Tybura won that fight, he goes on a nice win streak, right? Then you're looking at Serghei Spivak, who's proven a very good wrestling game, a very good, strong grappling game, the ground and pound, right? And also the underrated boxing of Serghei Spivak on the feet. His jab, you know, his jab is very decent. His stand-up is very underrated. But guys, I do think that the cardio of Serghei Spivak is potentially a little bit dusty. You know, thinking back to when he fought the boa constrictor, Alexei Oleinik, he got very tired in that fight. Then most recently against Ciryl Gane, you could say, you know, that's Ciryl Gane, one of the best. The striking of Ciryl Gane is phenomenal, right? You could make that case for Serghei Spivak, and that case is very true. Very, very true. But guys, just looking at Serghei Spivak in that fight against Ciryl Gane, the performance, it's no bueno. It's really not good. Now guys, in the first fight, I did side with Marcin Tybura as a slight underdog, and I was kind of shocked that he was an underdog. And guys, the same again. The same again. How is Marcin Tybura an underdog? You know, his grappling's very good. He's a black belt. You know, on the mat, phenomenal. Then you're looking at his output. Then you're looking at his stand-up. Then you're looking at his cardio. His cardio is very decent. His stand-up is, you know, there's good output. There's good kicks, good combinations. He'll work against the fence. You know, Marcin Tybura, he's good to go. He's one of the best at heavyweight. And guys, there is times for Marcin Tybura where his chin just turns to pure dust, like against Tom Aspinall. But then again, you could say, well, that's Tom Aspinall. That's one of the best. You know, same situation I was making for Serghei Spivak against Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane to dominate him, to dust him on the feet. That's Ciryl Gane. So making excuses for both sides is, you know, something you can do against Tom Aspinall, something you can do against Ciryl Gane. We can do that. But guys, who's going to win the rematch? Who's going to win this rematch? Guys, in my opinion, back in 2020, Marcin Tybura as a slight underdog, it was good to go. Marcin Tybura as a slight underdog 2024, guys, in my opinion, it's still good to go. It's still good. You know, his cardio is very good. His grappling, his output, you know, the combinations on the feet, it's all good to go. Now, if Serghei Spivak goes in there and says, look, this time round, I'm going to maul you. I'm going to show you my wrestling this time round. My wrestling's going to be better. If he says that, if he shows that, then all the credit. But first time round, I took the underdog. And second time round, in the main event, I'll do the same. Give me Marcin Tybura. As always, guys, drop down your main event, your co-main event, your Money City bets, all that good stuff. Drop in the comment section below. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Peace.